I'm going to call on John Meijer of the Dry Cleaners and Launderers Institute, DLI. John?
I did not bring a PowerPoint. Mine is pretty common sense stuff. The Dry Clean Laundry Institute is a worldwide organization of dry cleaners, launderers, and wet cleaners from around the world. We're a worldwide organization. Our issue is not about the alternatives, wet cleaning, the solvents. The thing is, they all clean. They all work. It's a matter of preference. It's sort of like buying a car. You buy a car, some people own a Mercedes, some people want a Honda. Well, everybody would want a Mercedes. But the bottom line is, who's going to service your machine? Who's going to take care of it when something goes wrong? Where are you going to get the support for the solvent that you're using? We have looked in general at all of the alternatives that are out there. They all clean well. We receive thousands and thousands of calls per year from dry cleaners. No organization in the world receives as many calls as we do from dry cleaners who are members and non-members of the Dry Clean Laundry Institute. The calls from our members are not about the cleaning processes do not work, or there's a problem with the process I'm using, whether it be the solvent or the machine. The questions we get are simply they're having a problem because of poor maintenance, poor housekeeping, not taking care of the processes that they're using. By and large, the principles of cleaning, excluding wet cleaning, but even with wet cleaning, have never changed. They've never changed. The biggest thing that we hear from every phone call, not every phone call, but the ones that are technically related to processes is, and I've heard this over and over again, they treat their base tanks and storage tanks like a toilet. There's no cleaning. There's co-solvents. There's stain removal agents. And they had this beautiful process that worked, and all of a sudden they wonder why there's an odor problem. Why there's excess moisture in the system. Why this happened or that happened. It's not about the process. The processes work very, very well. The people that you've heard today, and by the way, are known worldwide. The people who are discussing the solvents and the chemistry behind them have been around for quite some time. There's established research with them, and there's a reason when you purchase a particular solvent, or if you go to wet cleaning, or if you're using perchloroethylene, whatever the case may be, or a hydrocarbon, that you use the chemistry that's recommended by the manufacturer. There's a reason why they have certain stain removal agents that they're using on the board. There's a reason why there's certain maintenance requirements with each of the processes that are out there. It's never the process. It's always, first thing we happen, they're not cleaning. Because people might be cheating on detergent. Because detergent's quite expensive. We all get that. But just like your home washer, if you don't use detergent in your machine or you're cutting it in half, you're not going to clean your clothes at home. It's the same thing in dry cleaning or wet cleaning or whatever process that you're using. Maybe you don't have enough moisture in the system, or you have too much moisture in the system, which creates maybe a bacteria in some processes. And then you're worried about cleaning out the odor. Well, I don't know if they've told you, but when you clean out a base tank or you clean out your system, and even when you go from one solvent alternative, for instance, to another, it's not an easy task. It's a difficult task. And if you contaminate your system, it can be very, very expensive. Because when they call us and it happens, we're just thinking, good luck. You got to figure out a way to clean your system. All the tubes, all the piping, the base tank, the filters, the button traps, the lint traps, whatever the case may be. Following procedures with all the alternatives that are out there. What was the big thing we used to hear 6, 7, 8 years ago? The magic rule of thumb, you had to clean in less than an hour. It's sort of like miles per gallon in a car. 35 miles a gallon. You know, we all know that they test this on a round track. There's no bumps in the road. They just keep going round and round. In real life, it doesn't happen. Well, it's the same process in terms of when they talk about the time it takes to do a cleaning and drying of a load. PERC cleans and dries faster than some of the alternative solvents. The golden rule, less than an hour. We know in most cases, most of the alternatives will take longer to clean and longer to dry going through a normal process. And that's fine. They're less aggressive. It takes longer to get out some of the same stoils that are in the clothing. And that's fine. So if you look to those directions, you have to compensate. Maybe you need a bigger machine. Because the other question that happens is, they buy the same kind of machine, and next thing you know, they're putting 40 pounds of clothes in a 30-pound wheel. And I have seen it. There was a very good dry cleaner in our neighborhood that was somebody said, oh, they're the best dry cleaner I've ever seen. They're just phenomenal. It was a member of ours. He said, John, come on in the back. Well, the wheel was turning. And the clothes were sort of moving, but there was no fluid going in between them. It was so packed to cleaning. I said, dude, what's going on? Well, you're not cleaning anything. He goes, come back on Wednesday. You came here on Monday. We're busy on Monday. Come back on Wednesday. There's less clothes in the wheel, and you'll see the clothes tumbling with the ribs. You have to compensate for these things. You have to do the maintenance on the equipment. It's the #1 issue we find with dry cleaners all over the United States. It's simply a lack of maintenance of the equipment, taking care of the solvents that you're using, maintaining clarity and quality of the solvent, drying temperatures, and simply not cheating the system just to get the load out quicker. DLI is an educational institution. We like all the solvents that are out there. We like wet cleaning. We like perchloroethylene. Our goal is to make you use these processes safely and efficiently. And ultimately, the goal is to have clean clothes for your customers. That's our goal. We should all be good stewards of all the solvents that we're using, whether it's environmentally or any other way. Good housekeeping practices. It doesn't matter what you're using. We should be good students of the processes we're using. Filtration and distillation practices. Whether you're not distilling enough or not changing your cartridge filters, if you happen to be using a cartridge filter. It's no different than an oil filter on a car. If you don't change the oil on the car, soon you're going to have a bad car. If you don't change the filtration on the car, you're going to have problems. It's no different than cleaning. Filtration doesn't just help provide clarity of the solvent, it provides good solvent flow rate. If you have a clogged filter, you don't have a good solvent flow rate. The solvent doesn't get into the wheel, doesn't exit the wheel, you don't get good cleaning. Virtually all the calls that we get are simply to do with good housekeeping. The experts that were talking about the alternative solvents today, including wet cleaning and the continued use of PERC, they're all experts. They all clean. You can't clean everything in all solvents. PERC doesn't clean everything. Hydrocarbon doesn't clean everything. K4, green earth, wet cleaning. And here's the other thing that's interesting. We talk about care labels and the Federal Trade Commission and everything else. Here's something that most people don't know. If you follow a care label rule and it says dry cleaning and you mess it up, whose fault do you think it is? Yours. Can't hide behind the care label. We have always said that. You cannot hide behind the care label. Here's the problem. 90% of the stuff you get is fine. 10% of it is just garbage, and we all know it. You get a garment in, it's got a dry cleaning care label, for instance, and we know the care label was put on through a certain part of the process. Let's say it was a woman's blouse. And then it goes to a second manufacturing part, and someone says, heck, I'm going to put a print on it. And then it goes to a third process and says, you know what, I'm going to throw some beads on it. Well, the original care label that said dry cleaning may not apply anymore. So we have always said, we are the experts. We are the experts in this field. A garment doesn't come in, it comes in, you suspect it has a problem, we can always test. We can't hide behind the care label because the problem is there are too many bad garments out there. And we also know what's happening with a lot of the speakers talked about, we have the issue of disposable garments now. They're worn for a couple times and they go right into the landfill, which is creating a whole other problem for landfills across the United States. So this is a continuing issue as well. But the solvents, alternative solvents, the wet clean experts, they clean clothes. That's what we want. We want to be able to clean clothes. It's all about taking care of the process, following proper maintenance for each of the processes that are out there. But for someone, if someone says, hey, what's the best process out there? It is really an individual decision. Which one do you feel better with? Where are you getting the best support? What type of cleaning are you doing for the 90% of the cleaning that you have in your area? Proper use of stain removal agents. A lot of people, and still today, and if there's somebody that can verify with me, the old slop spotting. Squirt a little of this, squirt a little of that, throw it into the machine, and slowly but surely you're adding unwanted desirables in your base tank, creating to a lot of different issues that are out there. This is with all processes. There's a reason why they have specified chemistry for these processes. There's a lot of research and design, and they use them for a very specific reason. And again, and finally, with regard to the alternative processes that we see, it is a personal decision. Everybody calls DLI. Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Tell the same thing I was telling you on the phone. They work. They all clean. You just have to do what is required in maintenance just like you would your own car. We're an educational institution. Our goal is to make all the new processes effective and successful. Dry cleaning is not an industry where we're getting more pieces. We're getting less pieces in dry cleaning all the time. This has been a trend that's been going on for many, many years already. At some point, people will have to make decisions on equipment. They'll have to make it on an individual basis. So it's going to take some time. And the processes that we discussed today, and I have to admit, some of the processes that were in the alternatives video are no longer here. But the processes from the people that were discussing them today, they've been around for quite some time. They're effective in their own way, and it's a personal decision. We just have to remember, not every process is perfect for every type of garment that's out there. But the bottom line is, they all clean. It's simply following the manufacturer's and maintenance instructions. And if everybody did that, half the calls that we got in our facility at DLI, we wouldn't have anymore. Because nobody today is suggesting that the alternative solvents don't, or alternatives or PERC or wet clean don't do the job of cleaning efficiently. It's just when they don't follow proper procedures. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have time for a couple of questions. Sid. Oh, okay, good. He's taking over my job here as traffic coordinator. Hold on a minute. There we go, sir.
John, thank you for your speech there. I've been lucky enough to go down to DLI and get certified. Now, as a dry cleaner, it's quite expensive to join all these associations. You know, it starts adding up. And although I love DLI, what does it cost to join DLI, and what's the advantage of not joining DLI and going with OFA, Ontario Fabric Association?
You get both for the price of one. So.
No, actually, I'm saying it isn't so.
You crack me up. That's fun. Okay, first off, I would ignore all other associations except for DLI and OFA. Now, here's the issue. The people that are here are the people that know a lot of what's going on and always have been when we go to conference and so forth. I don't even know how many dry cleaners are in the United States, and nobody does, and I'll challenge you that, because the information coming from the U.S. Bureau of Census is dead wrong, because it doesn't include businesses that don't record payroll. End of story. About half the businesses in the United States don't have payroll, is most likely the case. Well, just think about how many potential customers we have. Well, at DLI, we've made a decision quite some time ago, and I think with OFA, both of our memberships have been growing, where associations as a rule have been going down. Except in the United States, the NRA is going way up, the National Rifle Association. So. But most associations, it's very, very difficult. But here's the bottom line. For education and training, there's really not a whole lot of people out there, successful cleaners. We made a decision a long time ago, not every dry cleaner is a member of ours. Not every dry cleaner is a member of ours. We have decided that people that want education and training, and we can provide it all, and we work very hard to provide the best that we can be. And with the partnership with the Ontario Fabricare Association, it helps makes us an international organization, and you get all the benefits of everything. In partnership with Seneca, Ontario Fabricare Association, the conference that they had yesterday, which was a packed conference in that room for the entire week. And you look around and you say, gosh, you know what? There's 100 and some odd people here, and all the people that you see all the time, the ones that really want to increase their knowledge, that's where we're going to have that's where we give our knowledge. I think we have a lot of information. We are a resource. And one last thing, the Dry Cleaning Laundry Institute had one of the first contracts with Environment Canada to provide one of the first programs for dry cleaners through all of Canada. And so we've been in partnership with Environment Canada. This is going back already, I'm making this up, 16 years ago already. We've been working with the Canadian officials on regulations for dry cleaners, perk dry cleaners, regarding good housekeeping and so forth. So in any way, make a long story short, that's the reason why we think all dry cleaners should be members of our associations.
Thank you very much, John.